Move your hips aside, raise your hands up.
Get some stretching done, there we go.
All right, so we're going to get to our last session here. And this is going to be the healthy lifestyle tips for women. I'm going to read the profiles of those who I'll be inviting up, and then we'll welcome them up and you give them a round of applause. So our moderator for this session goes by the name Kay. Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit about Kay. She is an audio storyteller, poet, performing artist, and multimedia creator. With a passion for weaving narratives, Kay's journey into the world of professional poetry began at the age of 18, captivating audiences at various venues spanning in the US and Nigeria. Beyond her corporate role, Kay has graced industry-agnostic conferences and events globally. Notable engagements include co-hosting the Next Wave TV show in 2022 and participating as panelist of Africa's Tech Summit in Nairobi in 2022, amongst others. Ladies, please welcome to the stage, Kay. Please give her a round of applause. All right, next person who I'd like to welcome to the stage is Adeola Ayoola. Adeola is the CEO and co-founder of Famasi, the pharmacy infrastructure for Africa. Prior to co-founding Famasi, Adeola played vital roles working closely with retail pharmacies at M-Pharma and other healthcare providers at National Hospital, Abuja. She also led market entry for one of Europe's largest leading manufacturers. Adeola is on a mission to power 1 million refills across Africa by empowering pharmacies with the right technology to deliver last mile care. Ladies, please welcome to the stage Adeola Ayoola. And last but certainly not least, we have Datari Ladejo. She is a lawyer, a digital strategist, and a Lagos chapter leader for the Women International. She's also the founder, CEO of Fernhill Digital Consulting, a full-spectrum global digital marketing agency. She actively supports women empowerment in the male-dominated tech sector and is a member of the Society of Women Engineers. She serves on the board of the Rebuilding Lives mission, empowering women and youth in rural Nigeria through entrepreneurship and skill acquisition. Please welcome Datari Ladejo. Sorry, I apologize. I said last but not least for Datari, but we have Dr. Zara coming up next. Dr. Modibbo, MB, BS, MSc, FWACP. I think I missed like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. She also is a laboratory medical specialist, a fellow of the West Africa College of Physicians, and a clinical microbiologist who has contributed to African healthcare and medical research for over 20 years. She is a graduate of the University of Maiduguri, Borno Medical School in Nigeria, and London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, UK. She has also received training in global health and epidemiology at the Harvard School of Public Health, Boston. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Zara. All right, so I'm going to hand over the mic here. We have about half an hour for this session. I know that a lot of you have some questions, things you want to learn. So we'll answer 2 questions at the end of this session. But please know that you can stay behind and mingle, get to know people, ask your questions after the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olamide. Well done. Good morning. Good afternoon. Definitely past morning. Good afternoon, ladies. My name is Kay. Right here on this note, I have been encouraged to share a personal story. Am I right, Dr. Zara? So I'm going to make this a 2-part story. The first being how I met Dr. Zara and then subsequently got introduced to Débbo Africa. I was hosting a tech conference, a female founders conference last year, and Dr. Zara was in a panel session where we were discussing mental health. And there was something that she said that endeared me to her, and that was just that we didn't have enough conversations about women and their mental health. And because that was a tech conference, we also don't have enough conversations about women in the workplace and their mental health, which Adeola and Datari will cover when we get to their questions. So after the conference, I connected with Dr. Zara and then ended up learning more about Débbo Africa and then getting a full body like checkup, something I've never done, the full health test, which I passed with flying colors, of course. But then the second part of the story, and Dr. Zara knows a little bit about this, is last year, towards the end of the year, I fell into a very dark, that's the only way I can describe it, a very dark, depressive hole, and I came this close to taking my life. Just missed it. I am very grateful to be alive. Being here and speaking like this and feeling like this is a miracle, yes, but it's also a testament to the amount of work I've had to do to understand what led me to that place and how to never get there again. I mean, never say never, but I think that when you're able to spot just before you tip over the edge, you can bring yourself back, right? So I am team therapy. I am team talk about your feelings. I am team know when your mood is switching and it doesn't just feel like you are sad. It feels like something a bit deeper than that, right? I am completely out of the woods now and I'm very happy about that. And this event is, I think, my foray back into the world because I kind of had to go inside myself, take care of myself, and then come back out. So it's very lovely to be here. It's very lovely to see faces, and yes, that is my personal story. a part. More will come. But one thing I wanted to say is that this topic is important to me because as a woman, and I say this to young women, I'm 33 for context, I say this to young women, there's a point where you are no longer just a woman. Then let's say you have a boyfriend, then you are somebody's girlfriend. And then let's say you are working in a career or whatever, then you are described by your role. So as you reach certain milestones, you being an individual goes to the bottom, and then all those other roles stack up to the top. When you get married, then you're somebody's wife. Then when you have children, you're somebody's mother, and then just like that, you don't realize that your individuality is fading away. And as that happens, you start to struggle with your emotions and your needs. Sometimes you're like, I feel this way on the inside, but I have to act a certain way on the outside. So this is important to me because I believe that it's possible to be all of those things and still retain and build your individuality. In this session, we're going to focus on tips that promote health and wellness and also encourage women to prioritize their well-being. With that being said, I want to start with Datari. And my question for you is, why is it important for women to take care of their mental health before serving others?
Thank you very much. It's a very, very important and valid question. And since we've been telling stories, personally, I feel that stories are redemptive, especially as women. Our stories can help encourage one another. So I'll start with a personal anecdote, since we're all sharing about why it is so important to put your mental health before others. First of all, we've all heard that you can't pour from an empty cup. But I'll give you a story that happened in my personal life last year. So at some point last year, I'll just go straight to the heart of it. I discovered a breast lump last year. I'm 35 years old. For context, I'm pretty healthy. I mean, I've gone through a weight loss journey, but I was living my life normally. I discovered the lump. It was small, and I ignored it for a very long time. My husband kept on telling me, I think we need to get this checked out. And then eventually I went to the hospital and I did. Now, I went through a number of tests and scans. And then at the time I had a conversation with the doctor. You get that call that you never want to get where they're like, you need to come back in. And the doctor said to me that, look, we're not quite sure what this is, but there's an 80% chance that you have cancer. And the kind of cancer that this is looking like is very aggressive. This was towards the end of last year, so towards Christmas time. It's very aggressive, and you need to get treatment immediately. I was in Lagos. So at this time, it was near Christmas. I have 2 young children. For context, I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I was like, okay, Christmas is next week. Can I celebrate Christmas with my kids? At least let them have their mom around and, then fly out and get this treatment. And they were like, look, if you want to actually be there for your kids long term, you need to go tomorrow. Right. So I'm a very busy person. You've read all of our profiles. There's so many things that I do in my life. I try and balance motherhood, being an entrepreneur, working, consulting, trying to be a good wife when I can, all of the different things. But at that moment, when I was in that doctor's office, right, and the doctor told me that, and you start crying and you're expecting them to tell you it's not so bad, and they're telling you nothing. They're just looking. At that moment, I knew that my life, my health, everything about me is important, and that all of those things that I've been stressing about, striving for, the things I've been working hard to achieve, can be taken away just like that. And with these kind of situations, it's often out of our control. And the reason that I talk about cancer, I know we're talking about medical health, is because a lot of people don't know that stress aggravates so many of these medical issues that people have. I know that there was comments in the audience around that. And when I went through the issue, they diagnosed it and I didn't have cancer. I got my breast lump removed. It was malign, benign. I got it removed and everything is okay now. But I thank you to the glory of God. But I needed that situation to happen for me to sit down and reevaluate things that were going on in my life and my mental health. Because I was going, at full pace, doing so many things, striving. And I realized that if I don't take care of myself, the people that I'm striving to please and to help, they won't have anybody. I won't be there for them. So I'll leave it there because I know that we're pressed for time, but there's many more things, but that's one of the main reasons that I would say. My answer would have been different probably this time last year, but your health is important. You need to prioritize your mental health because mental health issues transcend into your body. There are people that have strange aches and pains and little quirks that aren't quite yet medical issues. They don't realize that it's stress and, not prioritizing your self-care, that it is actually having an impact in your body. So that's my main reason for saying prioritize yourself first so you can be there for others.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, that was really good. Something that she said that I can relate with, and I'm going to ask Datari to take us to some affirmations. But being a career-driven person or an ambitious woman, it meant that I put a lot of other things first, and my mental health, emotional well-being was at the bottom. Before I was even suicidal, I was also in ministry. So that meant working a full-time job. And if you know anything about anyone who is in ministry, you are serving people and you're told your reward is in heaven. So you are actually not being poured into. And so I was completely depleted, which meant that when I was back in depression, there was actually no energy or strength to even pull from, to now say, okay, how do I get myself out of this hole? Surviving the attempt was a wake-up call, and everything just went to the bottom, and my mental health went all the way to the top. And till date, it is the most important thing in my life. So I want to say to anyone in here, if you are struggling with depressive episodes, you're feeling sadder than usual, that is your mind and your body telling you need to prioritize us immediately, because if you keep pushing it down and pushing it to the side, it will, I don't want to say it's going to end badly, but there's going to be a point where things might just hit ahead and you're going to find yourself at rock bottom, and that's not great. So I want Datari to get us through this because she does have, a strict time, and then I want to get to Adeola's question about how career women can manage their mental health.
Thank you. So I will lead us through the affirmations, but I want to just say one more thing before I do. So, okay, I can sit actually. Sorry. I'm used to standing up for affirmations, getting everybody pumped. But as women, right, society puts so much pressure on us. This is society that's meant to support us, puts so much pressure on us. But I want to also encourage us all to not go by society's standards or what society is telling you that you should be doing at a certain age or at a certain period in your life. It is so fluid right now. And on the back of that, I want to just share that during all of the things that I went through last year, also having had a very young baby, it took me a while, as Mrs. Kemi mentioned, to find myself again after having a child. And, you know, what really helped me was the people that could see I was going through something, through the smiles, through the, you know, going through. And I just want to encourage us to all try as women to be better friends to one another, right? I have been so blessed to receive so much love and care and support. And what I'm challenging myself to do this year is to be that person to other people. During all of my medical issues and everything, I had to rush and leave my children. I had people come and take my children out every day. People that were close to me. They weren't just talking and giving me advice or telling me sorry. They were literally coming and being that support system for me. When I couldn't find myself anymore, I couldn't recognize myself after having my son, I didn't want to leave my house. My friends would come, my close friends that I could share with, like how I was feeling, they would come. On my birthday, I didn't want to do anything last year. My friend came with an outfit, bought it for me. She said, this suits your body size right now. I bought you something. She did my makeup, she did my hair, and she was like, you are so beautiful. We're going somewhere. We're not staying in the house. So let's all try and be better friends to one another as well. So I wanted to just go through some affirmations because one thing that really, really has helped me, and it's a strong value of ours at TWI, the Women International, which is the organization I'm representing here, is when you say these things out of your mouth, you're speaking them into existence. Don't keep them in your mind. Make sure that you affirm yourself, find a mirror, find, record it on your phone, find a way of affirming yourself. So I want us to just, I know it's been, a lot of talking, so if this can be interactive, I'll say in line, and if we can just, with all of the power within us, just repeat it, even if we don't feel like it's true, as if we feel that this is the way we are, then we'll start our affirmation. So the first one is, let's stand up actually. It gives it a bit more power. Yeah. And then we can stretch and then get back to the conversation. Okay, so the first one is, my life is beautiful and meaningful.
My life is beautiful and meaningful.
I love this one. I love and accept myself unconditionally.
I love and accept myself unconditionally.
I have everything I need within me to succeed.
I have everything I need within me to succeed.
I recognize what is no longer serving me and I let it go.
I recognize what is no longer serving me and I let it go.
I am attracted to positive people who support my journey.
I am attracted to positive people who support my journey.
I choose love over fear in every aspect of my life.
I choose love over fear in every aspect of my life.
Each day, I am moving closer towards the life of my dreams.
Each day, I am moving closer towards the life of my dreams.
I am grateful for all that I have and all that is yet to come.
I am grateful for all that I have and all that is yet to come.
Anything is possible for me.
Anything is possible for me.
And then the last one, so we need to give this one power. I am ready to thrive as the best version of myself.
I am ready to thrive as the best version of myself.
Thank you, ladies.
We might unfortunately have to let Datari leave in a few minutes. She has another appointment. appointment to get to, so I just want to make sure that we get our pictures. Thank you so much. Yes, ladies, please give Datari a round of applause. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Okay, so we'll get right back into it. How many women, and there's no right or wrong answer, but how many women in here would identify as a career woman, ambitious? I have goals. There's somewhere that I want to get to. Just wave your hand. No, okay, a few. Okay, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna have Adeola just talk about how. Let me get the question right. How career women manage stressful situations and how they can avoid burnout.
Hi everyone. I thought about this and I said, Z's setting me up to be a hypocrite. Because I started to check a lot of things about burnout and how to avoid it. And I had all of these textbook answers to tell everybody, like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But it's not really, eh? So the truth is, I don't know how to avoid burnout. I told someone yesterday that I think I'm in a burnout phase every other week. I run a health tech startup called Famasi Africa, and I have a lot of delusion thinking that I can do something 1,000 other brilliant minds have tried to do. And what comes with having that sort of delusion is that you're just doing this thing that people have tried to do and failed at, and you just think all of a sudden you have the best, brightest mind to do it. It is going to take all of you, blood, sweat, and tears. And that means a burnout is most likely going to happen. I have gone through multiple phases, and since we're telling stories, I'll tell one. I have a team of 12 people. That's the ones I can manage. And I remember on one of those days, we were having this meeting. We have all hands on Friday, where we're talking about what happened and how to be better. And I got into the meeting, everyone was saying the right thing. I opened my mouth to give a comment, and I was saying the wrongest things. Like, it just was not adding up. I kept saying the things, but it wasn't coming out the way it was in my head. And after like 5 attempts, I got so frustrated. I left my laptop, I went into the bathroom, and I started to wail. I wasn't crying, I was wailing as though someone had beat me. And I could not even explain why I was wailing. I was just wailing because I was tired. And it wasn't like physical exhaustion. I was just at that point that I could not explain to anybody or even myself. After I finished wailing, I came out and I slept just to get back to normal. Then I spoke to someone and she said, oh, yeah, that happens to everybody. In my time, I had to start cutting my hair just because I could not explain it. And I felt better hearing that. And I think that's one of the most important things about being a career woman and working, trying to be better and managing burnout. It helps to understand that you're not alone. There are other people going through this same phase, maybe in different versions. But you're not, like, because as women, we do a lot with imposter syndrome. When burnout comes, we think, oh, why should I burn out? Why should I feel this way? Everyone else has done it. Why should it be me that would break down like this? But realizing that you're not alone and other people have gone through it and are going through it, I think that's one of the solutions, so to say. The second thing would be to be very self-aware. Be very in tune with yourself. You know when you're getting to not just sad or physical exhaustion where you want to sleep. You're just irritable, you're just annoyed, and sometimes, it's as a result of physical stress, work stress. It can also be emotional. It can also be that your hormones are not balanced and you need supplements, which we're going to talk about. But my point is, just knowing yourself, understanding that you need to push more than the average person because you're trying to make something ridiculously great for yourself. Understanding that you're not alone on this journey. I think it helps. It won't take out the burnout, but it makes it easier to deal with.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, please, for sounds really good. You're not alone, even if your struggle feels very personal, very internal, you are not alone. That's very important to know. So, Dr. Zara, I mean, a career woman is still a woman, so regardless of what you're doing in your life or where you are in your life, you still need to take your health and wellness seriously. So, can you please talk about why we need to focus on taking care of our health, and then which diseases are linked to poor lifestyle habits?
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, when I came in this morning, I think Dr. Nabila said that you look great. I was like, praise the Lord, because I'm here going to talk about stress, but I'm so stressed. They had to take my blood pressure this morning. Underneath this scarf is short hair, because during the COVID time and all the stress that went on, I cut my hair and I dyed it red. And everybody that sees me like this would not know that I had short red hair, but that's what I needed to do at that time. You know, she said, why should we take care of ourselves? One is, no matter what we're going through, we're somebody's prayer point. No matter how bad it is, you are somebody's prayer point. And I think when it gets really bad, and I then remember all the other blessings that I have, and I remember that millions of others don't have this, and a lot of people look at me as a prayer point, that's one reason we need to continue to take care of ourselves. The second thing is, when we do drop dead, and everybody dies, nothing actually stops. So if we don't take care of ourselves, when we are supposed to take care of ourselves, nobody is going to take care of ourselves for ourselves. Now, there's been a lot of talk about stress. We stress when we're married. We stress when we're not. We stress when we have kids. We stress when we don't. We stress when we have friends because there are too many and we're trying to manage them. Then we stress when we're lonely. And there's this monster about, because when you think about it, okay, I'm not married. That's my situation now. Let's move on, but I'm not married. Is it me? Did I do something? Am I too fat? Am I too thin? Those are all external thoughts that we bring, and stress happens. And when we talk about stress, we need to talk about cortisol. And when I was thinking about cortisol, I was like, because I know I have 3 minutes, I cannot even start to talk about the damage that cortisol does to the body. But that's what happens when we're stressed. Stress is a normal response. I had to be stressed for this event to happen. Because without stress, we'll just be like a Jessica. In fact, I would say maybe I should take propanol, right? So that I'll just be like, you know, whatever happens, happens. But we need that stress. But it's how you manage the stress afterwards. You need the adrenaline to get things going. But if it's sustained and cortisol happens and it affects your blood vessels, then what happens? Hypertension creeps in. Then what happens? You get stroke. Now already, as Africans, we are at a higher risk of stroke. And this happens because of the risk that we have during pregnancy. We have higher risk of eclampsia, which is hypertension during pregnancy, gestational diabetes during pregnancy, thus increasing the risk of all these things. And then we have the risk of stroke. Cortisol also leads to risk of diabetes, hair thinning, acne, your bones, everything. You can go and read more about the effects of cortisol, you know. So, but what can we do? Just to like wrap it up, because stress is a 5-day conference, you know. One is decompress. A study showed that 10 minutes, just 10 minutes in our day to actually decompress, either by walking or swimming or laughing. In fact, the study showed that 10 minutes of laughter in 24 hours reduced the stress levels of women. Just laughing. So if you have a good friend, not the friend that you will call and the friend is depressing you further, you know, but 10 minutes of laughter can reduce your stress level. Another study showed that by meditating, now we always have this thing about we cross our legs because that's not really, you don't have to do that to meditate. You just need to be self-aware of your environment. You need to take stock, you need to journal. 10 minutes. Another thing is know your numbers, please. What's your blood pressure? What's your sugar level? What's your cholesterol level? What's your BMI? So that it's not when, like today when they took my blood pressure, it was 120/70. The doctor said, "No, you're fine." I'm like, I'm not, because it's 90/60. So I know it's raised slightly. When people have not killed me finish, yeah, I'm still alright. You know? So know your numbers. And then finally, when you do, find a trusted health provider. Débbo Africa is in the house. But, you know, find someone to talk to. Because another study showed that when millennials especially know their number, they go to friends and family. They're like, I have this, and the person is like, you're going to die, you know. So find a trusted health professional, say, these are my numbers. If they're not off, what are the lifestyle tips, which would maybe go into a bit, that I can do to keep myself going healthy? And if it's off, what does it mean and what can I do? I think I'll stop there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Zara. So just to recap, I was making notes here. So first thing is be better friends to other women. We do need to work on that. Don't give in to societal pressures about what your life should look like at your current age. Learn how to manage your stress levels, and we'll share some practical tips there. And also to remember that you are not alone in what you're going through. Okay, so I'll move on to my next question for Adeola. Supplements and vitamins. This is what Famasi Africa is. That's what they do. So let me tell you my story, Famasi Africa. It was Women's International Day this year, right? Yes. I got a box from Famasi Africa. Yeah, it was the investors, Microtraction. So Microtraction was celebrating their portfolio companies and the women founders or co-founders of their portfolio companies. And so I got a box from Famasi Africa, and it had vitamins in it. It had the evening primrose. I'd never taken it. I'd heard about it, but I'd never taken it before, but that was my first time. Then it had tea bags, which I really appreciated. And then there was a period box I got, I believe. And then it had pads and panty liners as well. So for me, opening that box felt like I was receiving a treat. You know, even though like being on your period sucks, you know, like I felt like it gave me a little zhuzh in the day. I was like, oh nice, like okay great, I'm bleeding like a gutted cow. But you know, look at this cute box with all the nice things in there. You know, when I was drinking the tea, I'm a coffee person, but I was drinking the tea, I was like, okay, I feel like a princess, even though I feel really horrible, you know. So I want Adeola to talk about why taking supplements and vitamins is important to us. I don't know about other women in here, but in the household culture I grew up in, this was not something that was really pressed upon me. So now in my 30s, learning about the importance of vitamins, I'm grateful for companies like Famasi Africa that can kind of help me with that process. So yeah.
Good. Didn't even know you could.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so there's a general saying for people that don't like to take medications that, oh, I can get all of my nutrients from food, so I don't need to take supplements. It's a lie.
Yeah.
It's not true. And it's not true because of so many factors. I will try and talk about two. First is, in Nigeria, I'd use Nigeria as an example, the foods and vegetables that we eat do not even have all of the right nutrients. I think the other day I saw something about sniper being sprayed on beans. Now you would go out to say, I want to take a lot of protein, which is not like true. Beans does not have a lot of protein as we used to think. But then you say, I'm eating healthy, I want to take beans, I want to take vegetables. But all of these things have been modified because of the way they are planted, because of how they are transported to us, because of storage condition. It does not have as many nutrients as they would ideally have. So that's one. Our foods are deficient. The second thing is there are some nutrients that you can't get from food. Even when you get like a certain portion of it, by the time you're taking the food and it goes through the digestion process, the quantity of that nutrient that gets into your body that it should start to act is very little. So you need to supplement. And that's why people take supplements. You're supplementing what is already available. You're supplementing what you're getting from your food. You're supplementing the things that do not exist in the diet that you have. And that's what supplements about. You know, there are supplements for different stages of life. I like that we have talked earlier about menopause. And, you know, she mentioned evening primrose honey. It is one of the supplements that is very recommended for women that are perimenopausal and are already hitting menopause. Again, as you continue to age, certain nutrients in your body get depleted. For example, once you hit puberty and you start your period, every month you're bleeding. And you're not just bleeding for the sake of bleeding. Iron is being lost from your body. And the thing with that is hemoglobin is supposed to take oxygen to from your lungs to other parts of your body, and then there's myoglobin. Sorry, it's been a while that you say. But yes, I'm saying that because we are losing this much blood, you find that some women after their periods, especially for people that have very heavy flow and they bleed for longer than 3 days, they kind of look very pale. When you check your palm, it's quite white. And you know, Nollywood used to do that earlier, where they check your eye and then it's white. It's because you don't have like enough blood, as they say. You are losing so much iron, you are losing hemoglobin. And it's also very common for people that have sickle cell anemia, obviously. Now, for these kind of people, they need to supplement. Maybe take more leafy vegetables or take, iron tablets to help to replace what you're losing. And to what Keke said earlier about the period box that we curate at Famasi, it is not just about getting a box that has, your parts. It is also things that help you get back to normal health. Because when you have all of these things depleting, you find that people say, oh, when I get up, I'm a bit dizzy. And the thing about women is we are very used to this pain, and it has become so much, it has become a part of us so much that the other things that are quite minor, as we will term it, might even be serious things that we have ignored because we always endure pain. So what is small dizziness? Oh, I sleep and I wake up and I'm tired. Okay, normal, I'm just stressed. But you don't even have enough vitamin B's in your body, and that's why you sleep even for 12 hours, you wake up and you're tired. We don't have to go to the hospital unless we absolutely have to. And what's happening is many of these nutrients get depleted. Over time, it continues to go to levels that can now start to cause us, bodily harm, if that's the way to put it. There are supplements for people that are just about to get pregnant. When you do your hormone profile and they say, oh, estrogen level is low, progesterone is this, there are supplements that help to replace that. There are supplements for when women are pregnant because you need to take maybe extra folic acid because you don't want the newborn baby to come down with spina bifida. I don't know how to say it, simple terms. But yeah, it's a birth defect that happens when you don't have enough folic acid while you're pregnant. There are supplements for when you hit that 30 mark, and I think I saw that a lot on Twitter where they say, oh, 30 plus people, what are you using? Collagen is being depleted. You want to continue to look healthy, you're doing all of the skincare. But internally, you don't have enough nutrients that make you glow from the inside that is reflecting outside. So there are supplements like collagen, there's omega-3, there's so much. And I think the last thing to touch on is calcium and vitamin D. It's very, 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 very good for women to take that because about 1 to 2% of our body mass is made of calcium. Yeah. And as you continue to grow, you continue to bleed, you give birth, you're depleting how much you have in your body. And it's not uncommon to see that when women start to hit 40, 50, they start to complain of arthritis. It is because we have depleted all of that. And people often wait until they're that age to start taking it. But the truth is, you need to start early. I'm not saying use supplements and use 500 supplements every day of your life. But I'm saying that when you go to places like Débbo Africa and you get a full body check, and they see that, oh, you have zinc deficiency, you have vitamin, then you know what it is that you need to start taking the supplements.
Thank you so much. And this is a great segue to Dr. Zara's question, which is about sleep, the importance of sleep. Now, Adeola mentioned how there are women who you can sleep 8 hours and you wake up and you're feeling exhausted or fatigued, and you just feel like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but whatever, let me just power through the day. So remember earlier I mentioned that at like peak of like a very stressful job, I was also in ministry. So sleep was a very foreign concept to me, because when you're in ministry, there are certain hours you need to wake up to pray in the morning, and then at night, and then there's vigils and all of that, right? And then at that time, I was managing editor of a very big publication. So, you know, like right after prayers, you're just going right into work. So you can imagine dealing with that stress and not sleeping properly, and then eventually paying for it in a very negative way. So I think I would love you to speak about like the importance of sleep and why women should take that very seriously, especially in the times that we're in now.
Sleep.
What does good sleep actually
Sleep.
feel like?
So sleep, diet, exercise. Like the three, there are many other good healthy things. Bad, if you take poor sleep, poor diet, poor exercise. There's also like drugs, alcohol, and all that. But I'm a big advocate about sleep being the first of the three, the priority. And I'm always wondering why government, community, public health, they don't really do sleep campaigns. We do good food, we do school feeding programs, we have like parks for exercise. So I was like, how can I get Nigerian government to be more serious about sleep? How can I talk about sleep awareness? Like, they'll be like, a joker. But then they started doing new national anthem. I was like, okay, maybe, at this point, I can also bring my sleep agenda into. So when you reflect on why everything that is designed for life, and the way even our bodies design, if you look at the kidney and how it functions, and the heart, and all the intricacies that go, you know that there's nothing that is not for something. And then when you think of all the reasons why humans and other species shouldn't sleep, it's more profound than why we should sleep, because if we sleep, then enemies can come and attack. If you're in the jungle and there's prey predator, like if the lion is, if an antelope is sleeping, the lion would, attack. So that's one. Two is unlimitless wealth creation or vending. Let's just be up and about 24 hours. etc. There are many things. But every species needs to sleep. And so why? And so when you even reflect, you're like, okay, why? Now everybody has their rights. People will be like, I had a professor say that somebody came to him in a conference like, I'm going to die because I only sleep 8 hours. The professor was like, well, you are going to die, but it's not the sleep. Everybody dies, So 7 to 9 hours on average is what is advocated, but everybody has their chronotype, their circadian rhythm, and it's not to go away from that. So you know that I need 8 hours, then you need 8 hours. Another thing about sleep is that there are 3 things I'll talk about: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and dementia. And it doesn't take a lot, because there was a study that looked at these different lifestyle patterns: sleep, diet, exercise, right? I've literally gone through most of my life without exercise, personally, and I'm just now really taking it a bit more seriously. And I'm fine, because you can do that and be fine. You can eat junk for maybe 10 years before something's creeping. Try not sleeping well for 2 days. And let's have a conversation. You can't hold a conversation when you're sleep deprived. It took 2 weeks of this study on sleep deprivation to see that there was an absolute effect on glucose levels, which meant that if they had continued on that pathway in the next 2 years, these people would all be diabetic. Now, we always talk about we want to live long, but I don't think anybody wants to live long and sick. We don't want to live long in hospital. We don't want to live long on dialysis. So sleep is probably one of the single most important lifestyle habits that we need to adapt. Now, with social media, with the fast-paced lives we're living, it's becoming increasingly difficult to do that. But maybe 3 tips. So 3 hours before, or even, so talking about caffeine, and I heard there was a conversation about caffeine earlier. Caffeine affects people differently. The half-life of caffeine is 5 to 6 hours. So what that means is when you take coffee or any other caffeine products like the energizing drinks, it will take another 6 hours before it even halves in your bloodstream. And so for most people, by lunchtime, that should be your last intake of caffeine. And 3 hours before bedtime is when you should eat last. Now it's better to go to bed hungry than to go to bed on a full stomach. And this has also been proven. So 1. 2 is social media. There's been a lot of talk about blue light. But what's been found is that the research on blue light is actually a bit limited. But what's found is that what you're actually watching and this stimulus, if you're looking at war stories or things that are making your blood pressure rise or your pulse rate rise or things that are really horrid to watch, or even emails, because then your brain is like, ooh, I need to do this work, I have something to do. It really affects our sleep. So 2 hours before bedtime is when we're supposed to drop our phones. Some people drop it in another room. If you can't do that, you can put it on Do Not Disturb and have the people that are absolutely necessary to contact. Someone once told me that there's nobody that really absolutely really needs to contact you because, if somebody is dying, you can't really do anything from your bed. And if they're not, and you're in Lagos or wherever, you still cannot really help them. And so really that facade of I need to have my phone is just something that we have in our heads and we need to step away from. Then an hour before, what I personally find very helpful is a warm bath. I was saying that if I come and I talk about sauna in this our economy where we're still struggling to buy tomato, but in Western societies, people have actually brought in saunas into their homes. Because if you can get your body temperature really high through sauna or a warm bath or a foot soak, it really improves our sleep quality. And I saw one of the vendors out there, she has a tea soak, like all the natural herbs that we have, that we boil, that we use to bathe when we have colds, flus, or when we need to. I was like, I'm going to talk about this because I need this, because I really, really enjoy my warm bath an hour before bedtime. And I think that we should leave here thinking about how do we prioritize sleep as opposed to all the other things that are really in our face, and also understanding that, honestly, sleep is probably the quickest to get us to a space that we don't really want to be.
Thank you. Well, we've come to the end, so I would like to give my final words before Alakri takes the mic from me. And I want to touch on the first point in my recap notes, which is we should be better friends to the women in our lives. So I want to come from the perspective of someone that just came out of something very dark and is now seeing light again. If you have a friend who is going through a tough time, the best thing that you can do for them is to be present with them. You may not be able to go inside of them to see all the, because it feels like tangled wires in your head sometimes when you're going through something emotional. You may not be able to go inside with them, but if you can sit with them, whether physically, go and meet them where they are, or invite them out of their space, because what you find, even when you do your research on depression, is that once someone starts to deal with that, they isolate. And you hear people talking about bed rotting, and that's when they stay in their bed for 2 days, 3 days, some people even a month. They don't leave their rooms, right? So if you can pull them out of there, not to fix the problem, but to let them know that, hey, you're a human being. Like they need to feel their bodies again. That helps. Something that doesn't help is telling them, get over it, why do you want to throw your life away? You're not the only one with issues. Those are called invalidating statements. They make the person feel small, and it pushes them further into that dark place. And then the third thing you can do is send them resources, because when you're in that headspace, you're actually not thinking about taking care of yourself. All you're focused on is what you're going through. So if you can send them tips on how to
come out of it, because depression is really just like the person is feeling uncomfortable emotions, and that is a good sign because you're actually feeling. It's just that they just feel like a lot. So send them resources. I watch a lot of psychologists on YouTube talk about how to rewire your brain, how to be happy according to science, right? And then remind them of why their life matters. And I'm saying this because they need to hear it from their friends, people that care about them, not strangers. Do you understand what I mean? Because you can go on Twitter and be like, I'm sad, and a bunch of strangers can cheer you up. But that doesn't do anything compared to when a friend looks you in the eye and tells you, you are worth it, your life is worth it, right? And I'll end it with this story. The moment I knew I had crossed over, the last time I felt really, really down, I reached out to a friend and he just said, just make it through the night. You know, it was about midnight, I was like weeping, it was very strange, but he said, can we just make it through the night? And he texted me every hour, like, you know, I know you're not sleeping, but can you make it through the night? And I did make it through the night, and I made it through every night since then. And that helped a lot, it did help a lot. And I know that suicide is not a comfortable conversation, I know, but please understand, a lot of people are dealing with it. Some people went all the way through and they didn't survive the attempt, and they left a lot of their loved ones confused. I'm here to let you know that people that deal with that are not being selfish, they care about their life. I actually love my life, but sometimes things just get very overwhelming, and if you don't have the right voices telling you your life is worth something, you might just tip over the edge. So please, if you know any friends today, just text them your life, even if all they've told you is stress, work is too much, that is an uncomfortable feeling they're dealing with. Just text them, your life is worth more than that job, it is worth XYZ, and it will mean the world to them. Thank you for listening, appreciate you all. Yeah, thank you. So do you want to do another photo? Are we good? Oh, sorry, questions. Sorry dear.
Can you hear me? Yes. Morning. Thank you to the panel. I think in addition to everything else that's been said, I think it's also very important to highlight the fact that the progression from being in a deep place actually has a clinical diagnosis, which is clinical depression. And I think, and there's medication for that. And I think that also needs to be emphasized in addition to everything else. In addition to getting therapy, in addition to having supporting friends and family out there, because some of these conditions that we go through as Black women or as African women or based on our unique circumstances, is also as a result of a chemical imbalance, which then plays into other things that manifest emotionally. And a way to address that is via medication. And it's not talked about enough in our communities here because it's apparently seen as a sign of, it's a
spiritual issue.
Yes, but a mental illness can be treated the same way you treat a flu or a cold or pneumonia, etc. Meaning that there's a time that you can start, and if you're working with the right practitioner, it's not something that you have to be on for a long time. You can just transition to get you through that tough time where it's hard for you to pep talk yourself out of, or anybody to pep talk you out of a dark situation. So I think with the medical expertise in the room, I think that should also be highlighted when we have conversations.
Yeah, I love that.
Do we have another question or comment? Question, comment? No? Yes. Brent is trying to tell you that he wants to say something. Please go ahead. It's a safe place. It's a safe place, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, like she rightly said, she talked about medications for depression and all of that. Okay, so I understand that most of these medications come with side effects. So how do you balance that? That's what I was saying. Yeah, okay. Also with multivitamins, we say take a lot of multivitamins these days. So how do you know when you're taking enough? And how do you balance it? Because there's just a lot of things, and then some of these things also have like, when you take it, like for me, for instance, when I take iron supplements when I'm on my period, I feel very funny, and I don't want to take it the next day. So, yeah, how do you balance
So to start with the question about taking medications for depression and mental health and the side effects, I was going to add when she finished that I think the most important thing is to not wait until things are too critical before we have regular conversations with our own doctors. I understand that, there's a jumper wave and the doctor you see in the hospital today is not the same person you see tomorrow. But at least you have your own health history and you're aware. It's not just Zara gave an example about them checking her blood pressure 120/70 and they said it was okay, but she knew it wasn't okay. The thing is, we're not very armed with enough information about our own health to understand what our baseline is. Now, if you start to see a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychotherapist, depending on whoever it is that you're seeing, and you have that information, you're able to transfer the information to someone else. Now, when they start to prescribe medications, again, you're working with someone who knows a lot about the medication, but they don't know a lot about you. It is still you who decides how you feel with different medications. Textbook knowledge will say, take this medication and it works like this, but you can take it and it does the exact opposite thing for you. So, point is, talking to a doctor regularly that you trust, knowing your own health information, and understanding how your body reacts to certain medications. At Famasi, we have quite a number of patients that take mental health medications. One of the biggest problems, one, is accessing these medications because you need prescription and sometimes it's not very readily available. The second thing is what happens after they take the medications care. I'll give an example. We have a patient who, during the last election, they got into a crisis and they threw down all of their medications. They flushed it down the drain. But they were having a crisis. They could not balance. Everybody in the house tried to help them. We later realized that it was one of the medications they were taking that was interacting and it gave them that hyperactivity side effect. But the thing is, when you go to the hospital, they just give you the medication and that's all. Nobody checks what happens after. Nobody knows if you react to these medications. Nobody knows if it actually does what it's supposed to do. And we try as much as possible to do that follow-up care. If you don't have a practitioner or a healthcare person that follows up with you, and you have mental health conditions, it's very important that you start to write down the things. Or whenever I take epilim in the night, I feel very nauseous. Or whenever I take this, I feel this type of way. Because many of these medications were not really tested on skin, on people like us. It was tested with, Caucasians, and they don't understand how our body breaks down some of these components and how they react. When you have all of this information well written, you're able to share it with somebody that understands your own health condition better and they can make certain changes. People that are on lifelong medications think that, because I'm on this medication, I'm going to take it for the rest of my life. At some point, it stops working for you. At some point, you get better and you really don't need it. At some point, you're dealing with the side effect of the medication you're taking, unfortunately. And that's why you find that when you go to the hospital, they tell you take this medication and take this supplement to eat because this supplement makes the side effect of this other medication lesser. I hope I answered your question. The second thing about vitamins and when you know if you're taking too much vitamins, again, it really is personalized. It really is about you. When you take iron and during your period and it makes you feel uneasy, then you already note that. Your next period when you don't take iron, how do you feel? Do you feel better? It might be the brand of iron. It might be, something that they use in making that particular medication. It might just be that iron is not good for you and you continue to eat more green leafy vegetables. Again, healthcare is really very personalized. It's about you. I can sit here as a pharmacist and say, do X, Y, Z, but I really don't know you like you know yourself.
Thank you. Okay, it's like we have one more. Yes.
It's just a comment for the lady. So it's just a comment for the lady that you said you take iron. So like she said, document it, but also take iron with vitamin C. It helps with the absorption. Okay? So, like she mentioned, document when you take it, document when you don't take it, document when you take it. Then you will know.
I want to say that's one of the things I love about gathering women into a room to have conversations, because you'll have the experts who are speaking and giving their advice, and then you have other experts who have experienced things, learned from their own experiences, or even just from their work. So thank you everyone for contributing to this conversation.